Today's Artrageous art lesson is called Color Wheel Umbrellas, where we get to learn about color theory. We get to learn about a color wheel and use the design of a color wheel to make our own creative drawing that looks like you or someone splashing underneath of an umbrella. So, to get started, first we need to understand not only how to separate a circle into equal parts, but we also want to understand where the colors fall on a color wheel. So, obviously we're starting with the shape of a circle. We're going to practice drawing on our iPads first using the Sketchbook app. There's actually a tool at the top that helps you draw a perfect circle. Once you've drawn that perfect circle, then we're going to divide it into equal parts using lines. At the top of your Sketchbook app, there's a toolbar where you found the circle, and one of the tools will actually help you draw a straight line straight across the middle of the circle. Once you've drawn that straight line across the middle, that's called horizontal, then you're going to draw a vertical line that goes from the top of the circle down to the bottom. You want to keep this as even as possible. Now that we've divided our circle into 8 equal parts using straight lines, we're going to click back on the curve line tool. We're going to make the edges of the umbrella curve inward so that it actually does look more like an umbrella instead of just a plain circle. Now it's time to get creative. You're going to draw someone behind that giant umbrella splashing and having the time of their lives in a puddle in the rain. So you can draw a curved line for the rain jacket underneath the umbrella. I drew 2 rain boots with polka dots on them, just like what I've always wanted to have. And then I drew a puddle splashing, as well as the horizon line to separate the sky from the ground. After that, I drew some raindrops splashing all around my umbrella, and then I'm using the flood fill tool to fill in the sky with a dark blue, and there's also a light blue that I used for the raindrops. If you want to make clouds at the top, you can use the airbrush tool. Once we have finished drawing this on our iPads, then we're going to get a white piece of paper and we're going to try making this masterpiece on paper. So I have some lids, giant circle lids for you to trace with pencil, and since we want to make really nice even straight lines, we're going to use a ruler to draw the vertical line through the middle, the horizontal line that goes across the middle, and then the 2 diagonal lines that make the X shape. Once I drew those with pencil, then I used a Sharpie and I traced over my umbrella shape with a Sharpie. I also drew the same thing that I drew on my iPad. I drew my rain jacket, my boots, and then we're ready to start adding color. We are going to be using oil pastels to color in the color wheel on our umbrella. Now it's really important that you put the colors in the correct spot. So if you want to start with a primary color like red, you're going to fill in the first spot with red, but then you need to look and see what color comes after red. The next color would be orange because red plus yellow make orange. So orange always has to go in between the yellow on the color wheel. Now, since we have 8 spots instead of actually 6 spots, there's going to be 2 intermediate colors that you can use. Intermediate colors are ones that come in between the secondary colors. So I'm going to use a yellowish green, I'm going to have a regular green, and then you can make either a blue-purple by mixing blue and purple oil pastels, or you can look at the other intermediate colors and pick your favorite. Now you can also use oil pastels to color in your rain jacket, your rain boots, and I used a little bit of white oil pastel to draw my raindrops and also to draw the boots. So once you've colored everything in except for the rain, we're actually going to be using watercolor paint to paint the rain. So you're going to need newspaper for your placemat, you're going to need a cup of water, a large paintbrush, and a medium-sized paintbrush. Now there's also 2 different kinds of watercolor paint blue. There's a turquoise blue, a dark blue. You can also use purple and even a little bit of black. And since oil and water won't mix, you can paint right over top of your umbrella. And wow, doesn't that really look like it's raining? Once you've filled in all the negative space using different shades and values of blue, while the paint is still wet, if you want to, you can sprinkle a tiny little bit of salt And those little pieces of salt look like white pieces of rain. Just make sure you don't put too much. Once you're finished, put your masterpiece on the drying rack, put away your newspaper, your paints, wash out your paintbrushes, and clean up your table.